In 2024, international travel continues to be a significant aspect of global connectivity, with millions of people crossing borders for tourism, business, or cultural exchanges. However, not all nations are equally accessible to travelers, particularly for citizens of certain countries. Indian passport holders, despite having access to many countries worldwide, face challenges when trying to visit some destinations. These challenges range from complex visa processes, political tensions, and security risks to outright bans. This detailed video on 10 countries that pose significant barriers to Indian travelers in 2024. While some of these restrictions stem from strained diplomatic relations, others are a result of ongoing conflicts, regional instability, or stringent entry requirements that are difficult for Indian citizens to meet. From nations embroiled in civil wars to regions with strict religious or political entry controls, this list highlights why these destinations remain inaccessible or difficult for Indian passport holders. Before starting, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more future updates. Number 1. North Korea. North Korea remains one of the most isolated countries in the world. Although it doesn't explicitly ban Indian travelers, obtaining a visa is extremely difficult due to its closed nature and strained international relations. The country only allows tightly controlled guided tours, and any deviation from the set itinerary can result in severe penalties. Additionally, communication is heavily monitored, and access to outside information is restricted. Indian travelers face risks of detainment and lack of consular support since India has no diplomatic presence in North Korea. Number 2. Afghanistan. Due to the ongoing conflict and Taliban rule, Afghanistan is almost impossible for Indians to access. The Indian government has suspended all diplomatic operations, making visa acquisition extremely difficult. Even if entry is somehow gained, there are severe risks such as kidnappings, terrorism, and civil unrest. The lack of basic services and widespread lawlessness pose further dangers. The Indian government strongly advises against all travel to Afghanistan, with no diplomatic services available in case of emergencies. Number 3. Saudi Arabia. For specific purposes, Saudi Arabia's strict visa policies and religious guidelines make it challenging for Indian citizens to visit for non-religious purposes. Visas for tourism or general visits are heavily restricted. The process for securing a visa is complex and often results in denials, particularly for those who do not meet religious or gender criteria. Women, for example, may face additional scrutiny. The country's conservative laws and regulations impose significant barriers on those attempting to visit from India. Number 4. Libya. Libya remains in a state of civil conflict, making it highly dangerous for foreign travelers, including Indians. Visa processing is virtually non-existent due to the collapse of governmental institutions. The risk of violence, kidnappings, and terrorist activities is extremely high, and the lack of a stable government adds to the dangers. The Indian government has issued strict advisories against all travel to Libya, and there is no diplomatic presence to assist Indian citizens in emergencies. Number 5. Yemen. Yemen is engulfed in a severe humanitarian crisis due to ongoing civil war. Visa issuance is nearly impossible, and there are very few operational embassies or consulates. Even if a visa is somehow obtained, entering the country is extremely difficult due to blocked airports and limited transportation options. The risks of violence, terrorism, and disease make it one of the most dangerous places for Indians. The Indian government strongly advises against all travel to Yemen. Number 6. Syria. Syria's protracted civil war has left much of the country in ruins, and it remains a dangerous zone for travelers. Indian citizens face enormous difficulties in obtaining visas due to the closure of consular services. The country is under constant threat of military operations and terrorism, with extremely limited access to essential services like healthcare and food. Traveling to Syria carries high risks, and the Indian government has classified it as a high-risk destination with strong advisories against visiting. Number 7. Iraq. Certain regions. While some regions of Iraq are open to foreign travelers, much of the country remains dangerous due to ongoing conflict and insurgency activities. Indian citizens seeking to travel to these high-risk areas face significant barriers in obtaining visas, with many regions effectively off-limits due to security concerns. Even if a visa is granted, travel advisories strongly discourage visiting regions with active conflict or terrorism threats. Diplomatic services are limited, further increasing the risks. Number 8. Pakistan. For specific reasons, India and Pakistan have a complex relationship marked by decades of political tension and military conflicts. Travel between the two countries is heavily regulated and requires special permits or visas, which are often difficult to obtain. Indian citizens seeking to visit Pakistan must usually have a valid reason, such as family reunions, religious pilgrimages, or diplomatic work. Even in these cases, visa applications face long processing times and high rejection rates. Visas for tourism purposes are rarely issued to Indian citizens. Strict scrutiny is applied to applications, and even minor errors can result in rejection. Travelers face significant security risks, especially in areas like the line of control, LOC, or regions experiencing military operations. Number 9. Israel. For travel via certain countries. While Israel generally allows Indian citizens to enter, complications arise when traveling through or having previously visited certain countries that do not recognize Israel, such as Iran, Lebanon, and Syria. If an Indian traveler has stamps from these countries in their passport, they may face extended questioning, denial of entry, or even be banned from entering Israel altogether. The Israeli government is known to conduct thorough background checks and scrutinize any past travel to enemy states. Entry may be delayed or denied if the traveler is suspected of having ties to countries hostile to Israel. India has diplomatic ties with both Israel and some Arab nations, but navigating these relationships can be tricky for Indian travelers. Number 10. Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan is one of the world's most closed-off nations, even more so than North Korea in some respects. The government exercises stringent control over who is allowed to enter the country, and tourists are often subject to intense scrutiny. For Indian citizens, getting a visa to Turkmenistan is highly challenging, with only a handful of visas issued each year. The application process is notorious for its complexity, requiring extensive documentation and often resulting in arbitrary rejections. Turkmenistan's government is suspicious of foreigners and limits access to its territory as part of its isolationist policies. The application process can take months, and even then, there's no guarantee of approval. Once inside the country, travelers are closely monitored, and deviation from approved itineraries can result in penalties or deportation. This is it for today's video. What do you think of our video? Comment below with your thoughts and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more future updates. Thanks for watching.